So I'm going to start off by sanding this. I believe this is a 100 grit sanding block, but it doesn't really matter that much. We just want to give it kind of a roughened edge so that we have something for our art to stick to. Once you've sanded it, go ahead and clean it off. I like to use 91% isopropyl alcohol, but you could just use soap and water if you'd like. We just need to make sure we get all the dirt, dust, fingerprints, etc. off of here. Now that it's prepped, we're going to apply some paint to it to give ourselves a bit of a background. And this is going to be a gorgeous beach scene, so I'm using 2 blues, a darker and a lighter one, and then I am going to use a little bit of white as well. This can be done with spray paint if you'd like, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just hand painting these on here. And use this as an opportunity to give your piece a little bit of character from the beginning. You don't want just a straight kind of boring beach scene, so you can kind of even predefine how your waves are going to kind of go, and that's just up to you. I'm going to add some of the lighter blue and blend this while it's still wet, so we have a graduation of color here. Don't forget to paint your sides as well. I'll come around in just a minute and do the back part there. And lastly, I'm going to get in here with just a little bit of white, not too much. And that's just going to give me an even lighter blue, and this is going to determine the final wave line here. So try to not go too low on this and cover up more of the sand area than you would like, but really give it that kind of character. Now, because we are going to be blending this with the blue, it's not going to stay perfectly white, but it is just a background, so do not worry about it. Once you've got your basic background painted on here, let this fully dry, and then we're going to come back and do the next step. So now that this is dry, we're going to mix up our resin. I'm using Mixed Media Girl Artist resin, and I'm just going to be covering this section of the table. So for that, I will need about 9 ounces, but I'm going to mix up a little bit extra just in case. Now, as a note, you probably noticed I did not put any kind of paint on this section. For me, this makes a nice, beautiful sand color, but if you wanted, you could also paint it a sand color or even use real sand. I'm starting off with part B. This resin is mixed equal parts A and B. I'm just going to mix up plenty here. And then you want to mix this for about 3 to 4 minutes. Make sure you scrape the sides and scrape the bottom as you go while you mix. So I'm going to get this all mixed up properly, and then we'll be back. So now I've got all my resin mixed up, and we're going to mix up the colors. For oceans and beach projects, these are my favorite to use. I love the Alumilite resin dyes. I use the translucent ocean blue and then the opaque white. And then for a lighter blue, I like the Polycolor Sky Blue Mica. The dyes are very, very concentrated. You only need a couple drops. I'm gonna put a little bit in here, maybe about 4 drops or so. The white I'm doing in this small cup because that's the color we need the least amount of. And then in this cup, I'm going to do the lighter blue. And I'm gonna put basically about a scoop of the powder into here. And I'm also gonna add a little bit of it into the dye. That's gonna give me 2 different blues. Now, as a general note, you don't wanna use more than about 10% of your colorant to your resin ratio. You can go a little above that if you want. You can go definitely below it. It's just gonna matter or make a difference in how transparent your colors are. Make sure you get them mixed in very well, particularly the mica. It's a powder. You wanna make sure it's completely mixed in and no kind of dry chunks of powder are left. My colors are fully mixed and we are ready to go. Let's start off with the dark blue. I'm gonna put it at the edge of the table here. And that's going to be our deeper, darker water. And I'm going to just gently move this around with my hand. If it's cold where you are, you might want to kind of preheat this. You can heat it up with a heat gun or a torch. It's not too shabby here though, so I'm just gonna go ahead. And I am running some over the sides. We're gonna make sure we get those sides fully covered. I'm gonna actually mix up just a little bit more of that darker blue. Now this will go through a little bit of what's called the ugly stage, so don't worry about it as we go. It's going to just turn out gorgeous in the end. And the one thing I love about ocean resin art as well is it's actually pretty easy to do even for someone who has never used resin before. All right, we're gonna get in here with the lighter blue, and the lighter blue I'm gonna bring all the way down here, and we're gonna overlap that darker blue as well. We're gonna kind of blend these together. So keep in mind I do still have some of that darker blue on my hand. That's okay. We want these to blend. We don't want two completely separate lines of color. And I'm bringing it all the way up to the edge of my painted section here. Okay, now we're gonna get into the really fun part, which is the waves. Now, just as a note, let's say you put your white right here up against the blue and then blow it into the blue. It will look beautiful, but it's gonna have some blending. So I like to take just a little bit of clear resin, no color mixed into that, and put it right on the edge here of this blue so that we have a little bit of kind of a barrier in between these guys, in between the white and the blue. And I'm gonna be doing probably one wave on this, but feel free to do more. I think on the first layer, it's best to just do the one wave and then to do another wave on a second layer if you wish, but that's definitely up to you. And as a note, that clear layer that I put in between, it's not large at all. It's just a really thin line. And now this is where the magic happens. So I'm gonna take my heat gun. This is an Amtake heat gun. I'm gonna use it on high, and I'm gonna start off by heating the water, and then right above the waves, and then I'm gonna be blowing the waves into the water. So here we go. Okay, that's really all there is to it. So like I said, I'm just doing one wave. If you want to do more than one, go for it. I think it would be best if you wanted to do a second wave to do it on the second layer of resin, because I am going to come back and I'm going to seal the entire table with resin. It's not necessary. You could actually leave this bare, but you do want to at least put a clear coat over your color to protect it. And so I think it'll just be best if we seal the whole thing. So we're gonna be back when this first layer is all dry. All right, this is now completely dry. We're back, it's the next day. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sand this again. We wanna rough up the resin just a little bit before we put on the next coat. So here we go. Once you've sanded it, go ahead and thoroughly clean it. This is 91% isopropyl alcohol. So we're gonna get all the dust and everything off the top. Do not forget your sides. All right, we've cleaned this and we're ready to go. So go ahead and mix up your resin again like we did at the beginning of the video. I have already mixed mine up before doing this second section here, and I'm gonna cover the entire table with resin. So all sides, the entire top. And I have decided I am going to do a second layer of waves in this top coat. You can really do as many layers as you want. Totally up to you. So I'm getting clear around here, and I'm gonna just spread that out and make sure that I get everything covered. If you don't put this top coat, just keep in mind you will have a lip here where that resin is a little bit raised. Okay, I've got the clear coat on the entire thing here, and now I'm gonna go in here with my second coat of waves, or my second layer of waves rather. So I'm going just a little bit above my other ones, and it's gonna kind of overlap those a bit. And I'm definitely going less on the white here. I don't want as much of a wave, and hopefully I didn't overdo it there. We'll find out. I'm sure either way, it's gonna be amazing. So let's get in here with the heat gun again. And same thing, I'm gonna heat right above the waves. And then I'm gonna heat the white. And then I'm gonna start pushing the white up. And this is just gonna add so much depth to this piece. Feel free, again, to tilt as you're pushing it up if you'd like. That can help. Now I do want to share with you guys here one mistake that I made, which you may not even notice, but I do, is you can probably tell these waves are a bit more opaque. They're a bit more bright white than these guys. So that is going to bother me a little bit. I'm going to take some of this white and I'm actually going to go over these waves a little bit again. And that's going to actually add even more depth. Totally not necessary. Not required, just something that because this table is going to be going into my living room, I know that I'm going to want those waves to match up just a little bit more. And this can just, like I said, add some more depth. So don't overdo it. I'm not completely redoing those waves. So this is a much thinner line than the last time. And let's just push that out again. All right, that's all there is to it. I think this is fantastic. Lots of depth in this piece. So I'm gonna let this fully dry, and then I'm going to be sanding off the drips on the bottom. Because this is a wood table, we don't really have to worry about, it's not like a canvas or something, so you can just take an orbital sander, sand the drips off the bottom. I'll assemble the table, and then I'll show you guys when it's all done. Here is our beach coffee table all set up and ready to go. I love it. I think it matches perfectly with my decor, and I love that it is such an easy project. So thank you so much for watching Home Talk. We'll see you next time.